is in fashion this year," was the title of an essay by Roland Barthes in 1960. But it seems like blue is in fashion always. A YouGov poll in 2015 claimed that blue was the world's favourite colour. And we see it everywhere in the world's favourite place. Social media. Not to mention messaging apps, email. It's truly the colour of digital connection. Even the links you can click on. And this 10-hour video of a blue screen has over 800,000 views. You could say blue is in our genes. It's even described by musician Regina Spektor as the most human colour.
Blue lips, blue veins, blue, the colour of our planet from far, far away.
So I wanted to take a tour around our relationship to blue. Not only the intrinsic qualities of blue, but things that happen to be blue, that we happen to call blue. Like, speaking of tourism, we'll of course start with something that isn't actually blue at all. The Blue Guides. A series of travel guides first published in 1918 and the subject of another Roland Barthes essay. Not that I'm a fan or anything. Barthes criticises the reductive cultural selectiveness of the Blue Guide, claiming it hardly knows the existence of scenery except under the guise of the picturesque, replacing the exploratory potential of travel with the more prescriptive reality of tourism. It's an exchange that's repeated in the iconic Cerulean Blue speech in The Devil Wears Prada, which similarly exposes the guiding hand of homogeneous authority.
That blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room.
Truly, influencer culture has a rich history. But just as the people behind the blue sweater are obscured from us, in documenting only art, architecture and archaeology, Barthes suggests that the Blue Guide too obscures the human. The human life of a country disappears to the exclusive benefit of its monuments. To select only monuments suppresses at one stroke the reality of the land and that of its people. And as a consequence, the monuments themselves become undecipherable. What is to be seen is thus constantly in the process of vanishing, and the guide becomes the very opposite of what it advertises, an agent of blindness. Though maybe it's fitting that the artifacts chronicled in the Blue Guide are frequently manufactured, because blue has no place in the natural world. There are hardly any blue flowers or fruits, and of the Earth's 64,000 vertebrates, only 2 have blue pigment. And where blue is present, it too is constantly in the process of vanishing. These blue morpho butterflies aren't really blue, it's just light refraction. And to think we gave you an emoji. And the sky isn't really blue, or the sea. Again, that's just how our eyes perceive their colour. And even that perception hasn't always been expressed as blue. Many ancient civilizations have no word for blue, like how Homer's Odyssey famously described a wine-dark sea. We might associate blue with clarity, like clear blue skies, but clearly, clear blue is a lie. A conspiracy peddled by butterflies. There's nothing clear about blue at all. In the comedy special Nanette, Hannah Gadsby draws attention to the many conflicting faces of blue.
It really is full of contradictions. Do you know, blue is a cold colour. It's on the cold end of the spectrum, but the hottest part of the flame, blue. If you're feeling blue, you're sad. But optimism, blue skies ahead. A blueprint is a plan, but if something happens that's not on the plan, where does that come from? Out of the blue!
So, if there's any defining quality of blue, it's confusion. And it did give its name to one of the most confusing choruses of the 90s. But as well as, or maybe because of the absurdity of these lyrics, there's an oppressive uniformity that, at the risk of being overly dramatic about a novelty 90s pop song, is almost overwhelming. To the extent that this song has always made me kind of uncomfortable. Even before I saw the music video, which I think frankly would make anyone uncomfortable. Or maybe a better example of an overwhelming blue is Derek Jarman's Blue, a film from 1993 whose 79-minute runtime visually consists of a single static shot of blue, audibly accompanied by voiceover and a musical score. And to again borrow from Barthes' assessment of the Blue Guide, this blue, too, is a true agent of blindness. As the film documents Jarman's experience with AIDS, the illness causing his impending death and partial blindness, his vision now impeded by blue light. But this is a blindness marked by presence as much as absence, and its void is one of liberation more than oppression. A review by Gridley Manema states that in this blue, we are free to become what only death can make us, human, and hence free to realise the true potential of our estate, beyond words, beyond names, beyond subject and object.
In the pandemonium of image, I present you with the universal blue, an infinite possibility becoming tangible.
It's then in this lack of meaning, this infinite possibility, that blue can also begin to represent the creation of meaning. Barthes examined the phrase "blue is in fashion this year" partly to demonstrate the arbitrary nature of fashion and tastemaking, a colour selected for you by the people in that room. The phrase suggests that there is a kind of physical causality between fashion and the colour blue. It's all about changing an arbitrary link into a natural property, a way of guiding fashion or a way of finding meaning. Meaning in connections as arbitrary as a travel guide that happens to be named blue, an essay on fashion that happens to concern a phrase containing the word blue, or a quote from a film about a sweater, which was originally a plaid skirt in an earlier draft of the script, but was eventually given the defining characteristic of being cerulean blue. Because humans don't really cope well with lack of meaning. We can't even cope with dabba-dee dabba-die, given this extensive list of misheard lyrics. But I don't think revealing that these connections are more forged than innate invalidates them. Writing to fellow artist Emile Bernard, Paul Cézanne said that blue gives other colours their vibration. And Bernard continued that in nature it is always found over and around objects, and they merge into it the more they draw away. It's both a unifying and a distinguishing force, describing a world of associations, relationships, and connections. In a biography of Cézanne's work, Kurt Barth translates Fritz Novotny's description of Cézanne's blue shadows as the veins of the picture's design, like blue veins pulsing under everything in an imitation of our own quest for connection. Blue connects us over skies, seas, Twitter, or, as Derek Jarman put it, blue transcends the solemn geography of human limits. And this is maybe what makes it the most human colour. It represents not only our physical bodies, but also our desire to push beyond these limits, to even see our planet from far, far away. Blue is our search for meaning, our lack of meaning, and the meaning we create. And while it doesn't organically appear in nature, it does appear in us, in how we perceive the world, the sky, the sea, what leads us to call the place we inhabit the blue planet.
Blue, the most human color. Blue, the most human color. Blue, the most human color. Blue lips, blue veins, blue, the color of our planet from far, far away.